Okay, so when I say the words absolute power, what pops into your head? Well, today, we're going to flip everything you think you know about that on its head.
Just think about it for a second. Palaces, endless servants, the power to do whatever you want, whenever you want. A life where your every single whim is the law of the land. It sounds like the ultimate fantasy, right? The absolute peak of what a person could experience. But hold on, what if that's all totally wrong? What if that life of what seems like limitless power is actually the most restrictive cage you can imagine? That's the crazy paradox we're going to dive into.
All right, so let's start with that fantasy, the one we've all kind of been sold. Where does this whole image of the carefree, all-powerful ruler even come from?
I mean, you know the image. We see it everywhere. From history class to epic movies, we see emperors and kings who have it all. They command vast armies, they build incredible empires, and they live in this unbelievable splendor, totally free from the rules that you and I have to follow. But that picture, it's not even close to the whole story.
See, here's the thing. For every single perk of being in charge, there's a hidden cost. And a lot of the time, that cost is just constant, crippling fear.
Let's take the Aztec emperor, for example. On the one hand, crazy luxury, right? He literally never had to wear the same outfit twice. But the flip side? He was completely trapped by superstition. He lived in this state of perpetual terror that any little thing could be a bad omen, a sign from the gods that his reign and probably his life was about to end.
You know, it really boils down to that old saying. The incredible privilege of sitting on a throne is matched only by the constant anxiety and the very real threats that come right along with it.
And it wasn't just about being scared all the time. For a lot of these rulers, the very thing that propped up their power, their godlike status, also chained them down, turning their lives into this endless, rigid performance. The Byzantine emperor is a fascinating case. To be seen as a god on earth, he couldn't act like a normal person. He had to perform being divine, every single day, through this whole series of really demanding, monotonous rituals.
Just look at this daily grind. It starts with morning prayer rituals. Then he's leading these totally silent processions, where he was more of a symbol than an actual man. He had to maintain this unbroken, godlike silence in public, and then, surprise, more rituals at night. This wasn't a life of freedom and choice. It was a strict script he had to follow, perfectly, day after day.
Okay, so we've got the personal stuff, the fear, the performance, but on top of all that, there was the sheer weight of actually running everything. Keeping total control wasn't just about having the biggest army, it was a science.
So in ancient China, they had this idea called the Mandate of Heaven. And it wasn't just some cool title. It meant the emperor's right to rule was directly connected to their ability to prevent and manage disasters. So if a massive flood hit, it wasn't just a tragedy. It was seen as a sign from the heavens that the emperor had failed. And that meant he could be overthrown. Can you imagine that pressure?
All right, let's jump across the world now, over to South America and the Incan Empire, because they had another incredible system for managing their people.
A system called the mita. It was basically a labor tax. Instead of giving the government money, citizens paid with their work. They'd build roads, farm state lands, or serve in the army. Now just think about the incredible burden on the emperor to manage this massive, empire-wide workforce.
And this is the part that just blows my mind. Through this mita system, the Inca state managed to provide for the elderly, feed the hungry, create this huge social safety net, and they did it all without a single coin. Zero money involved. The logistical complexity of running an entire economy based on coordinated labor is it's almost impossible to wrap your head around.
So when you start putting all of these pieces together, the paranoia, the endless rituals, the immense burden of management, a totally different image of absolute power starts to take shape, doesn't it?
These are the real prison bars. It's not iron and steel, it's the crippling paranoia. It's the grueling daily rituals that literally strip away who you are. It's the constant performance of having to be more than human. And it's the immense, crushing weight of trying to keep an entire civilization from falling apart.
So, the real takeaway here is pretty clear. The life of an absolute ruler isn't about ultimate freedom. It's a gilded cage. It looks beautiful and shiny on the outside, but on the inside it's a prison of fear, duty, and crushing responsibility.
And that kind of leaves us with one last big thought, right? Most of us seek some kind of control over our own lives because we think it'll bring us freedom. But maybe the real lesson from all this is that ultimate power doesn't free you at all. It just builds you a more luxurious prison.
What do you think about that?